After a very, very long flight and transfer from Phuket, we are now in Kuala Lumpur. All in all, it took about 7 hours to do an hour-and-a-half flight, but we are here now. And we have arrived at the hotel, checked in, and now we're getting on the Kuala Lumpur monorail here to take us to the Made Food Street, where we're going to have some dinner with some of our friends from work.
So we are now at Jan Law Street Food Market. We've met up with Kishan and Alicia, and this is George trying durian. Yep.
That's a no. You either hate it or you love it.
It's fine, but I don't really understand why anyone would or wouldn't eat it.
I'm very much like that.
There's not anything special.
I'm very much on the fence in it. I don't really
So following our fruit tasting experience, we are in Jalan Alur, which is the main, or the most popular I should say, food street here in Kuala Lumpur. It's in all the books, it looks really good, and we're going to tuck in to some tasty snacks like these potato things. So we are now at somewhere called KLCC, which is at the base of the Petronas Towers all the way up there. And this is where there is going to be a really impressive water show in about 5 minutes time, and we'll get back to you when it occurs. And here we have the musical fountain display, and very nice it is. This happens once every hour.
I know, good.
And at night, in front of the towers, it looks very, very pretty. So we're back out and about, and today we're back at KLCC and the Petronas Towers, but this time in the day. And they are just as interesting in the day as they are at night. These are some of the tallest towers in the world, and I think they are the tallest twin towers now. And the whole area's got a lot of different buildings around it. And we're just wandering around today and seeing what we can see. I think later on we're going to go see a new Star Wars film. For now we're just going to have a walk around the park behind the skyscrapers and just wander around the city. We've just got into the cinema area, and we're very glad because a storm has just hit the city centre and we're getting blown around. There's wind coming in, water's everywhere. But we got in just before it started, so Juliet especially is very, very happy. So we've just stumbled across this musical performance here in central Kuala Lumpur with a load of military people around taking a lot of photographs. So it's a big thing with lots of people in dress uniforms. I've got absolutely no idea who anyone here is. We've now watched our film. It was summarise the film for us, Juliet. She has no words to describe the film. But we are now heading back to the hotel because it's been a long day. The rain has stopped, but we're using this nice covered walkway. We're gonna have some nice food, and tomorrow we're heading out to do all the cultural activities near the city's botanical gardens. It's a new day here in Kuala Lumpur, and we're at the National Museum next to the Botanical Gardens. It's been quite an experience getting here from the central station. It's taken us about half an hour to walk the 300 metres between the two because it's so damn confusing. But where you want to be aiming for is the MRT station Museum Negara, as you can see here. And from there it's easy enough to get to it, but it's very confusing from the central station. Anyway, we're going to go have a look at that, and then we're off to the Botanical Gardens. We're having a very nice look around this museum. Very nice, good exhibitions about the history of Malaysia in the prehistory, the ancient times, colonial era and the modern era. Very educational. And this is the view down into the atrium of the museum. It's got a little bit of an entrance fee, but it's not too much, and it's well worth a visit. We're now in the Botanical Garden area, and the thing in front of me is not a large and impressive mosque, but it is in fact a planetarium right next to the Malaysian National Space Agency. Not quite the NASA of the country, but looks like a very nice area to come and visit, and everything's very cheap to get into because it's run by the government. And here we have a slightly strange thing. We have a nice replica of Stonehenge, although a lot smaller, in this area dedicated to ancient methods of observing the universe. And we've once again found some wild monkeys, although these ones do seem a lot less crazy than the ones we've seen before on this trip. In fact, some of them seem very, very nice and cute. We have ended up at the butterfly house here in the Botanical Gardens. It's about £5 each to get entrance, so it's not too expensive. And in here is a very well looked after garden and an awful lot of butterflies. And we'll wander down here and see if we can spot any butterflies fluttering about. So it's not just butterflies we have here, we've got a very large praying mantis around. We've got really, really pretty butterflies everywhere. And it's a really, really lovely place. Although it is very hard to actually see the butterflies up close. They are very flighty creatures, but you can see there's absolutely tons of them flying around.
So here we have like a feeding station for the butterflies. And I don't know if you can see, he keeps sticking his tongue out to get the honey and the nutrients from the plant.
And here we are in the Botanical Gardens, and very nice gardens they are. Lovely place to come and hang out, although it's still very warm, even though it's a bit later on in the day. Looks like a marathon is being prepared for at the moment. But we're now heading back towards where the National Museum was, and we're going to get the metro to the food market street we were at a couple of days ago to go and have some dinner. And then tomorrow we've got another day of wandering around the city and looking at some of the temples and mosques within it. And here we have even more nature, and we have a very large lizard wandering around. Absolutely not scared of me at all, but very nice to see out in the wild. It's been a real day for nature things. It's a new day here in Kuala Lumpur, and today we are at the National Monument Complex. First thing to see is the cenotaph, which commemorates the Malaysian dead in World War I, World War II and the Malaya emergency, where they fought communist terrorists. And we're now going to head down here to the main part of the National Monument Complex. And here we are at the National Monument itself. It's a very impressive statue. We're now going to head into the forest you can see behind the complex and have a little bit of a walk around in there. So we're at Taman Tugu, which is a forest trail right next to the National Memorial Complex, still in the centre of Kuala Lumpur. And it's a jungle which has been left alone, and they've put some path through it and you just get to walk around inside it. And when we see some interesting things, we'll get back to you. So this is the rainforest itself, and very pretty it is. You're able to just wander around on these trails, and they've got some set routes but you can go off them. It's really nice. Not seen any animals yet, but we've heard a lot of them, Seeing a lot of branches shake. But for the most part, it's just wandering through a very nice area and having a look at the vegetation. Here we are at St Mary's Anglican Church, which is right next to the Independence Square just over there. We're going to go visit that now. It's very nice coming here. Every Sunday you can get free refreshments in their cafeteria area there. Although you probably need to be slightly better Christians than us to answer the questions which will be asked of you. So we've beat a hasty retreat and we're going to go find somewhere else to go have some dinner. And here we are at Independence Square itself, surrounded by some very pretty buildings all around us. It's a really nice central area. And apparently underneath it is a very large shopping centre with a lot of places to get some lunch. So that is where we are going to head to now. So we are now at the back of the very impressive building we were looking at before, the Sultan Abu Jamed building, which is a government office but is quite a famous building here in Kuala Lumpur. Found on quite a lot of postcards. And we have the River of Life. It looks a bit murky to me, but it is in fact the River of Life running through the centre of the city. And then just over here you can see the white minarets of the Masjid Jamek Mosque, which is again another cultural area in the city. So here we are now at the front entrance of the Masjid Jamek Mosque, and in this area we've gone to St Mary's Cathedral, Independence Square, looked at the Sultan Abdul Samad building, walked across the River of Life bridge, and now we're at the Sultan Abdul Samad Jamek Mosque. And we're not going to go in because I never like to go into religious buildings too much, but we can get a nice look at the structure from the outside, and a very impressive structure it is. We have now made our way to Sun Sea Temple, which is a very nice temple in the heart of Chinatown. Very pretty. Everyone's starting to celebrate Chinese New Year, or at least getting ready for it. This is pretty much the last cultural activity of today. We're now going to be going to some of the markets and shopping streets around here to have a see what we can find. And here we are at Petalang Street Market, a very large and busy market here in the centre of the town. We've just been to the Central Market, which is covered, which is an older market, but this is a bit more modern and a bit more aimed at tourists. But a good experience and well worth doing. It's a new day. We are now at the Batu Caves, which are an ancient Hindu site set high in the mountains about 20 kilometres north of Kuala Lumpur. You can see this huge statue of a Hindu deity in the foreground and some steps up to the cave behind it. There's also lots of monkeys around and lots of pigeons. So those of you who are nature lovers, this is a great place to come. Now here we are reaching the top of the stairs. There's 272 of them, and it's a little bit of a walk, especially when it's so humid, but it's still pretty nice. There are lots of monkeys around and about. The monkeys here are very chilled out, not very aggressive at all, just happy, sitting around on their domes. And now here we are at the entrance to the caves, and we'll get a look out towards them. And there we are. Those are the Batu Caves. So here we are in the caves themselves, and now we're surrounded by cockerels, and we've got some more monkeys wandering around. But the most impressive thing in here is the small temple immediately in front of us and the amazing roof over us. This whole place is a similar sort of gist to Tianmen Mountain, but it's a little bit more rustic compared to what we saw in Zhangjiajie.
And here are some monkeys messing around.
And here at the top of the Batu Caves we have this lovely little temple, a lot of monkeys as you'll have seen with Juliet, and this really, really impressive view up towards the sky.